Hello again, welcome to my channel Rainier Books. My name is Rainer. This is Stockholm calling, this is Sweden calling. This is about the last week and my reaction to some booktuber videos that I've seen over the course of the week. So let's do this. Well, hi everybody. I tried actually to film this video on the balcony, but two reasons why I didn't do it. The first one, it's too cold. It's only plus 2 degrees Celsius, which is like 35, 36 Fahrenheit. And the other reason is that the sun is still shining very bright at 4 p.m. here in Stockholm this afternoon. And the sun will soon go down, I'm sure, but it's still very bright and I couldn't look into the sun and into my monitor, where I'm seeing what is happening on that video. So let's get started. I haven't finished much last week. I finished one Swedish book, but I also want to talk about it here, and that is Gangster Paradiset, probably, by Lasse Wierup, who is a Swedish journalist. And it's the third book, actually, that I've read in a very short period of time about the Swedish crisis of gang violence. And this is called Gangster Paradise. Doesn't mean anything else than Gangster's Paradise. And of course the author means Sweden and describes how we have ended up in a situation where we have lots of gangs. Almost in every part of Stockholm there is the local gang, and how these gangs got more and more armed in recent years, and how these gangs are fighting each other, and how they are living by selling drugs. And it's a very interesting book. I liked it. It depicts the conflicts that if you live here and if you read the news, that you have heard about in a more systematic way. It describes the conflict in Mishmash, which is north of Stockholm, where suddenly in a very quiet community over a few years, because also that the politicians and the police didn't react in a proper way directly when things started to go bad there, how things evolved and blew up and got bigger and bigger, and organized crime got sort of a grip on that little community in Mashta. And also about the Swedish justice system that gives, you could call it discounts for several reasons. And it's very complicated to explain that, but basically it also has the that several one crime is not sort of, if you add up crimes, like if you rob 15 banks, for example, then you might get punished for robbing 2 or 3 banks, and the rest will be forgotten. Due to several reasons, actually, which are very difficult to explain, because already by robbing 3 banks you have reached the maximum. Doesn't matter if you rob 3 or 15 banks, you have reached the maximum sort of punishment that is available for this kind of crime, and stuff like that has sort of, but this leads for perpetrators of crimes often, especially when they're very young, to the belief that, okay, I didn't get punished for that assault on that person because I only got punished for this assault on the other person, if you understand what I mean. If not, drop a question in the comments down below. Gangster Paradise, it gives a few explanations, a bunch of explanations. It's a good book. It's well researched and very easy to read. If you read Swedish, it is worth reading it because you understand in what kind of situation we are. We are not in a situation where you go out on the streets and feel afraid. I think you're not doing that in the US either, but it sort of makes you aware that we have a problem we have to address. The other book I'm still reading, I have read only a few chapters of it, is Ian Rankin's A Heart Full of Headstones, with Inspector John Rebus, former Inspector John Rebus, who's now a retired guy in Edinburgh, Scotland, and Detective Inspector Siobhan Clark, his old colleague who's still working. She investigates an internal case where a police officer is suspected, not only probably also guilty of, but now suspected, because court hasn't punished him yet, suspected of having assaulted his wife several times for domestic violence, and this case will somehow lead us to Rebus as well, and I'm curious how this will go. So these are the 2 books that I have dealt with. One is finished, the other one still in progress. And also in progress is Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe. In Sweden, we have, because in Sweden we have something that is starting in a week, next week, somewhere next week. It's called Bokrea, which is a very fascinating and interesting event, because a lot of bookshops, I mean all bookshops, are really making a lot of their money during this time of Bokrea, which is always in February. And as long as I know Sweden, even before I moved here, they had Bokrea, which is that a lot of bookshops, all bookshops, sell books, certain books, but hundreds of books, if not thousands of books, from the catalogs into reduced prices, where you can get hardcovers for reduced by 60–70%. And there are a lot of very popular titles, mostly Swedish-speaking literature, of course, a few English titles, but for Sweden and for Swedish book business, this is a very important time. It is only comparable to Christmas, and I think that Bokrea even generates more money than Christmas for the book selling. So this is a very important week coming, and still I saw that even in these digital times that a lot of shops have their printed catalogs about the books that they are selling. One catalog is here, and that is by Akademibokhandeln, and they have this booklet where they sort of, I think, like almost 40–50 pages, where they present all the books that they are selling during Sweden's biggest Bokrea, as they say. And I'm going to show you a couple of these books. As I said, most titles are Swedish language titles. You can buy Don't Do It, American Dirt here, for example, by Janine Cummins for only 79 Swedish crowns, reduced from 249, so that's a lot cheaper. The hardcover version. You can also buy En bättre värld, A Better World by Anthony Doerr here for. This is Cloud Cuckoo Land, which has the Swedish title A Better World, and lots of other stuff. And also every year the Nobel Prize winner of literature is of course someone you sell in the Bokrea for 99 crowns. You can buy 3 different books by a piece, 99 a piece, 3 different books by Annie Ernaux, the French Nobel winner, Orion, Min far och kvinnan, och Omständigheter. This is the years, My Father and Woman, and Circumstances, for reduced from 279 to 99 crowns. You can order them on the internet. You can pay now, but you won't get them before February the 23rd. I think that's the official date when Bokrea is going to start here in Sweden. The second thing I want to talk about is Brian's video about, is there a future of Booktube? And I think that Brian got the inspiration from a video which I'm going to look afterwards, Book Time with Elvis. And this is the question if Booktube has a future. And I was very curious, and this was a very interesting headline, almost a clickbait headline for this video, because I think that this video would be about the future of the book business, and which means the future of the next like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 years. But it was a far more philosophical question. Is there a future of Booktube? Actually, Brian asked more about, is there a digital future of the digital things, the digital stuff that we produce nowadays? Not only Booktube, but all people on YouTube, all people on social media actually who produce content today and give it to those social media platforms. Because what is going to happen in 30, 40, 50, 100 or 200 years, even when these platforms are probably no longer existing, because all big companies break down sooner or later, and Brian is absolutely right in saying that. But I think in a wider sense of the meaning, I don't care about that so much, that it is because I live very much in the here and now. And of course I would be very, very sad and very, very pissed off actually if YouTube would shut down next year on January 15 or something like that, or in 2 years. And I think that all my 400 plus videos, which I will have made then, are gone, because I don't keep them. I don't know much YouTubers who keep all their videos because you need a vast amount of space to save all these videos. And probably we should actually do that with a couple of our videos, because otherwise they're lost. If you give them to YouTube, if you give your stuff to Facebook or Twitter or wherever you are publishing anything, or Vimeo, this stuff is gone when those platforms are shut down. And that's really something that I put on my mind to think, to save not all videos that I made, but 1 or 2 or 3 or a little bit more for the future, because I don't want everything to be gone. That would be good to have something at least left for the next generation if anybody wants to see that. I don't know. The long run, I think the question that Brian had, will people in 50 years and 80 years understand what Booktube was if it doesn't exist anymore? If YouTube doesn't exist anymore and they find sort of scraps somewhere, but and then they look back at the time, what was that kind of strange people who made these strange kind of videos? Because in the very long run, everything will be gone. I mean, even this solar system is about to diminish, about to go away. Not tomorrow, probably. Not in 2 years. Not in 5 years. Not even in 5,000 years, probably. But in 2 or 3 or 10 million years from now, everything will be gone, and even the solar system. And then it will make just whoosh, and, well, everything is gone. But so that is not the question that I am dealing with when I think of, does Booktube have a future? I think that Booktube has a future. TikTok has a future. The BookTok, I think it's called, and Bookstagram for the next couple of years, because the publishers need platforms where their books are being marketed, and we do a great job of the industry right now. Please, industry, be aware of that. I know they are aware of it. Very much in the English-speaking world, a little less in Germany, a little less in Sweden. I think that the book publishing industry has realized that Booktubers and Instagrammers and Bookstagrammers and BookTokers are very important in the marketing of books. And that's what we do. I haven't been bought by any publisher, by any company who has sent me books. I buy all my books, and whatever I say about the books that I read, it's my honest and true belief. That I can tell you. But has Booktube a future? I think definitely yes. In my lifetime, I would say it has. And even... But of course it's dependable on the state of these companies that sort of publish our stuff, that host our stuff, because I can't afford a platform to create a platform, my own platform that hosts hundreds and hundreds of videos that I made. I can't do this. But it reminds me, and Brian's video reminded me of, that we should save some of our stuff for the next generation, for our children, for our grandchildren, maybe even, that show them we existed, and also to see what we cared about and what kind of values we transported, good and bad. A lot of bad, actually, when you look at the things. But YouTube is... I would be very, very sad if I sort of had to live through a time when YouTube doesn't exist anymore, because it's a source for so much knowledge. It's a source for so much knowledge. I love, for example, looking the vloggers, some of the travel vloggers that travel to places where I will never ever go in my life. People, funny people, and sometimes questionable people, like Bold and Bankrupt, for example, or his younger friend Backpacker Ben. They are currently on a trip through South America, traveling from Peru to Venezuela, traveling on the Amazon River now 24 hours. So the big question, does Booktube have a future? I would answer, in the very long run, definitely not. Nothing has a future. No future. And in the next generation, I think, yes, it has. And because if YouTube doesn't exist, they will, if a company, Google or whatever, goes away, they will find something else. But we probably should save a couple of our videos, because it's a great danger to publish so much content on and give it to someone else, give it to Google in this case, and not have saved copies on your own hard disk somewhere, or maybe I should buy a hard disk only for my production on social media. That was everything I had to say. I hope that you have a good reading week, that you had a good reading week, we see each other soon with a prediction of the International Women's Prize long list. I made that video before that one, actually, and you can see it next week on Wednesday. Thank you very much for watching this, and I see you soon. Bye.